few weeks ago, one of the comments under another video was, could I do a video specifically focusing on body language in the eyes? What can we pick up from the eyes? So today, we're actually going to explore that topic. And we're going to answer the question, how do you read someone's eyes? There's an old saying which says, the eye is the window to the soul. And what that expression means is that the eyes give us information about the person. Today we're going to explore 5 distinct areas that you need to consider when it comes to reading the body language of the eye. The first area to explore is our blink rate. Now, there is a physiological reason why we actually blink, and that is to make sure that our eyes are not dry and that they are lubricated. Now, the average blink rate is about 12 to 15 blinks a minute. However, it's really important when it comes to blink rate to baseline the person, because everyone's normal blink rate can be slightly different. And what we're going to explore when it comes to the body language of the eye is, are there changes in that baseline? You see, when it comes to experiencing different emotions or feelings, at times the blink rate can increase, or it can also decrease. So whenever we're feeling anxious, for example, it's very common to see the blink rate increase and become more rapid. Whenever we feel excited, it's also a place where you can see an increased blink rate. But conversely, whenever we're feeling bored or we're feeling disengaged, it's very easy to see there that a person's blink rate begins to slow down and the pattern is reversed. So the first way of reading someone's eyes is to explore a person's blink rate and ask, is the baseline changing? Is it increasing? Or is it decreasing? The second area is that the eyes also give us information on the emotion that a person may be experiencing in that moment. I want to explore 3 emotions which show up incredibly well in the eye. The first is the smile. Now, we normally think of a person smiling as someone showing their teeth and the corner of their lips raised upward. But you know, the true sign of a smile, when we know a smile is genuine, is whenever we begin to see what's called crow's feet. We begin to see lines appearing at the side of the eye because the muscle has contracted and you begin to see these lines. That's actually the true sign of a smile. You know, very often throughout life, we're just asked to smile, and we have a social smile, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's really not a genuine sign that the person's actually feeling happiness. Whenever we see those crow's feet, it's a true sign that the person is experiencing happiness in that moment. The second emotion that really shows up well around the eyes is anger. See, when a person feels anger, one of the things is that they begin to focus on the target of what that anger is. And so what we begin to see in the eyes is they really focusing. It's almost as if everything in their gaze begins to zone in on one point. And so we'll see the eyebrows coming down and together. We'll see tension in the bottom of the eyes and tension on the top of the eyes as we gaze into the focus of our anger. And then the third emotion is the emotion of surprise. And one of the things that happens with surprise is that our eyebrows begin to lift both parts of the forehead. There's a muscle here and here that raises, and so our eyebrows begin to look like an inverted U, and our eyelids begin to open wider. And it's almost as if in surprise, what we're looking for is more information because we're surprised. What's happening? We don't know what's happening. And so therefore, our eyes are taking in more information. What can I see around me? What data is helping me determine what this surprise is all about? Surprise is also a transitionary emotion in that what happens is we take the data, we assess it, and then we potentially move to another emotion depending on what we're experiencing. So say, for example, someone throws a surprise birthday party for you. You have no idea about it. You walk into the room and all of a sudden there's a group of people who say, surprise! If we were looking at your face, what we'll probably see is that surprise look. We're going to see the eyebrows at an inverted U. We're going to see your eyes wide open as you take in more information about what is this? I didn't realize this was going to happen. Now, if you potentially like surprise parties, you may move into happiness. But if you hate surprises, you may move into anger, or you may move into sadness if someone's present there that you haven't seen for many, many years. And so the second area is the eyes can give us information about the emotion that a person is experiencing. The third area is eye contact. Eye contact is incredibly important for a feeling of connection with another person. And there's a reason for this. Because whenever our eyes come in contact with other eyes, there's actually a hormone that's excreted which is called oxytocin. And oxytocin is important because oxytocin is the bonding hormone. It helps us feel connected with other people. And so by gazing into another person's eyes, we're actually beginning the bonding process. Now, eye contact is very culturally determined. And so we have to realize that in different parts of the world, eye contact varies depending on the culture. In our Western world, it's about 60% of the time. When people are having a conversation, if you're measuring it, they're going to look into each other's eyes about 60% of the time. However, in the Far East, that number is much lower, maybe around 40% or even 30%. Because in that culture, there's a lot of deference given, for example, to elders, and it's considered disrespectful to look into their eyes. So eye contact is another way of reading someone's eyes. It increases connection, but we need to be careful as well about cultural determinants. The fourth area is pupil dilation. Whenever we are looking at something we find attractive, one of the things that happens is that the pupil begins to increase and becomes larger in size. Now, advertisers have known this for many years, and they have actually modified the eyes of models who appear in our magazines. And what they've done is they've increased the size of their pupil. And why do they do that? Because they realize that when we're looking at a person whose pupil is dilated, has become bigger, it increases our attraction towards them. It means that we'll spend longer looking at that person and potentially the advertising around it. Again, we have to be sensitive about one thing here when it comes to dilation, and that is that our eyes are really sensitive when it comes to light. And so therefore, the light impacts our eyes and can impact as well the size of our pupils. Whenever we're looking at bright light, our pupils begin to retract. And so when we're looking at a person, it's important to say, well, their pupils are small. They must not be attracted to me, or they must not be interested in the conversation. When in reality, what's happening is some light is interfering with the size of those pupils. And so we have to be careful before rushing to judgment. Before we get to the final point to look at when it comes to the body language of our eyes, I invite you to subscribe to the YouTube channel, to press the bell. You will be reminded when new videos come out each and every week, when we'll explore different areas of emotional intelligence, just like today in reading a person's eyes, that can help you become a better communicator and help you be a better leader both at work and at home. And the final area of reading someone's body language in their eyes is to pay attention to where their gaze is fixed. You see, we can read a lot about a person's gaze. So if their eyes are kind of focused around the area of the forehead, we call this the power gaze, because we interpret this as someone who is powerful, someone who is highly confident. If a person's gaze is more from the eyes down to the mouth, then what we're able to interpret from that person is that they are more socially engaged, and rather than trying to display power or influence, in this stage, what they're looking for is more social connection. And then the final area of gaze is actually from the eyes down to this area of the body. And this is a sign of romantic interest. So when a person is gazing in this way, it means that in some way they have a romantic interest in the person that they're talking to. So pay attention to the person's gaze. Where are they gazing? Because that can also tell us a lot about the intent of the conversation that they're having. Today we've explored 5 different areas of using the eyes to read body language. Now, there's a lot in there. Here's a suggestion to you. I'd love for you just to choose one of them and begin to explore. Begin to explore the other person's eyes when you have meetings, whenever you have conversations. And just be curious at what you see. It's a wonderful way of beginning to explore body language because at its core, it's about curiosity and it's about noticing what we're experiencing. So often in a conversation, what we put all our focus in is the words that the person is saying, but we miss all the other things. And today, one of the powerful ways of reading a person is through their eyes. So take some time and to really just explore a different area of the 5 we've explored today when it comes to a conversation. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, I invite you to explore the next video, which is how to explore a person's emotions through body language.